What is going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the 5-1 Formation podcast. You're listening to the Premier League segment. My name is Alex Karabat, so I'll be your host for today. I'm joined by Tommy and George. Say what's up, boys.
It's Gucci.
What's going on, guys?
So this weekend in the Premier League was really exciting and very surprising. A lot of twists and turns, some new faces in the top three, top four that we didn't predict, or anybody could have predicted for that matter. So let's get right into all the action. So the Merseyside Derby ends in a draw, but did Liverpool get robbed by a last-minute VAR decision, or a last-minute VAR offside decision, I should say? So George, we'll start with you.
Listen, it's VAR doing VAR things. You know, we somehow always end up having the same conversation about VAR. But now I'm starting to realize that isn't this what we wanted in the first place? But now everyone seems to be backing out on VAR. So did they get robbed? Yes, I think they got robbed. I don't think it was offside, but it is what it is, and that's part of the game now. That's the nature of things now with the VAR.
And I know, Tommy, I'm looking at you as well, because I think Tottenham has also gotten robbed a couple of times with VAR, and I think a lot of our teams, that, for all being honest here.
All of ours, man. All of ours.
So I kind of wanted to see what you had to think about that as well.
You know, watching that, pained me, even though I'm not a Liverpool fan. I'm not a fan of them, but it just pained me because I know what the team and the fans are going through, because when it happens for Tottenham, it kills you inside that they get a call wrong. When you know VAR is there to make stuff right. You see it's offside, it's offside. But when you're talking about this, come on. And that wasn't even like this. That was nothing at all. That should have been a goal. They got robbed of 3 points. And it's just VAR doing VAR things, man. Every week, there has to be one controversy, at least once.
I agree. And if we're being honest here as well, with all the inconsistency with VAR, again, in all of our episodes, or at least I would say that 70% of our episodes, there's always a talk about VAR. It always finds its way back into our episodes and into our lives with soccer. So it's unfortunate. And George, you said it perfectly as well, is that VAR is something that we've always wanted back in the past when we used to watch soccer. We used to always want that sure thing to tell us that if it was an offside or not. But the fact that we have it now and it's not consistent, we don't want it anymore. It's taking the fun out of the game a bit. So so that was well said. It is what it is for now, until maybe they come to an agreement on maybe removing it. But that's going to be something massive if that ever happens. I don't see that happening in the future, but you never know at this point. Another thing to kind of bring up about the Merseyside Derby was, I think, Virgil van Dijk tearing his ACL, and I think that was the biggest talk of the game, in my opinion, because the fact is that now he might miss 6 to 8 months in recovery. So I wanted to get your thoughts, and we're going to start with George. George, how do you think Virgil van Dijk's injury is going to affect Liverpool this season?
Oh, it's going to affect them huge. It's a huge blow for Liverpool. It's the reason why they won a Champions League. It's the reason why they've been so successful. He was the missing part of the defense back before they bought him, and you're missing a key ingredient for the recipe. Yeah. So now you have that guy gone. It's a huge blow. Alisson is gone also. So your goalie and your defense is looking very, very shaky right now. Moving forward, they've been great. We've seen it time and time again, but now this is huge for Liverpool, and it's season changing. Let's just say.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention that ever since they did purchase Alisson and Virgil van Dijk, they haven't really had to deal with that many injuries or something quite like this before. And I'm curious to see how as a team they're gonna overcome this. And Tommy, I'll let you give your thoughts as well on the injury.
Yeah, man. First of all, before talking about Virgil, Pickford, what a dirty player. What are you doing scissoring someone like that? That tackle should never happen. I'm surprised he still stayed into the game, didn't get a red. But apart from that, it's going to hurt Liverpool a lot, because you could see that even without Alisson now, they've been letting in a lot more goals than what they're used to.
Yeah.
And now you take away their most important player on the team, Virgil van Dijk, away. I find now that they're going to be conceding a lot of goals. It's going to be tough for them. But I'm not saying this to be like a dick or anything bad, but now they're starting to get a glimpse of what other teams last season are going through, having these injuries and trying to overcome it. So now let's see how they adapt because they're not used to it, having a full team not healthy. So I'm curious to see how they're going to go week in, week out, especially now the Champions League is back. I'm curious.
George, I know you wanted to say something.
Just two things. Listen, I don't think Pickford. I don't think it was with malicious intent. He came out. He did what he had to do. It's just unfortunate that he came out the way he did and he collided with him because at that point it's a 50-50 ball.
Yeah.
The ball's in the air. One guy's gonna stand, the other guy's gonna go down. That's what it comes down to. And in this particular situation, VVD ended up costing and it's costing Liverpool big. So that's one thing. Another thing too is Virgil van Dijk is such a crucial aspect to the defense that Everton ended up scoring 2 goals off of headers in that game. So it just goes to show you right away the impact the game had without having VVD. So if it's happening right there at the game, just imagine what's going to happen in the rest of the season.
Yeah. No, I'm happy you responded that way as well, is just because of the fact that I did see a report or someone say how very stupidly as they did was say how Pickford should be suspended for the amount of time that Virgil is out. Like this is part of injuries are part of the game. Like you said perfectly, Pickford had to do what he had to do to save the ball. Maybe, like you said, it wasn't done with malicious intent. It's part of the game. It happens. Many of our favorite players from our teams have suffered injuries like this in the past. It is what it is. And for now, Liverpool have to overcome adversity to see how they're going to approach the season without him because he's their rock. He's their leader. And you mentioned before how Everton beat them in the air twice. He's their aerial threat. He has aerial prowess as well in his game. And them not having that, it really affected them, like you said, with the 2 headers. Shout out to Calvert-Lewin, who's literally on fire right now.
Yeah.
So I was happy. I was happy to see that the game ended 2-2. It was well deserved. I think Everton had what it took to get the 3 points, but it didn't work out for them that way. They still walked out with a point, and I'm curious to see. Again, we've said this countless times this year already that Everton is very exciting to watch. They have a squad in their hands, and James is their X factor, and I can't wait to see what he brings to the rest of the season. I don't know if you guys wanted to add anything to that.
No.
All right, so let's move on. So Chelsea looked great in a 3-3 draw against Southampton as Timo Werner scores his first goal and brace, but they look very poor defensively. George, I wanted to get your thoughts on the game as you're a Chelsea fan, and we're gonna follow you up with that. So go for it.
I mean, it's been the same story since the beginning of this season and last season. Defense, poor. Aerial duels, poor. Set pieces, poor. And the goalkeeper, even poorer than a poor man on St. Catherine. Like, you're playing top flight English football. It is disgustingly unacceptable to put out a performance like that, especially that you're up 3-0. Come on, man. Like, enough is enough. It is what it is, though. Mendy, obviously, he picked up the injury, and Mendy would be starting. But obviously, Kepa got the starting position, and just overall, just a terrible performance from him and from the defense, too. Christensen and Zuma. That pass from Zuma wasn't any better than what Kepa did, trying to do whatever he was trying to do. So, yeah, but we have to look at the positives. Timo got 2 goals. Havertz got a goal. They looked fantastic in the first half, flying, passing the ball very well, creating chances. Hakim Ziyech also, he came on for a bit. Didn't make much of a difference. to the scoreline, but it's slowly starting to gather. The only problem is time. Time is not in their hands, and time is what they need. So
I agree with what you're saying, and that's why I kind of said it that way at the beginning. Was that there was a couple of pros to take away from the game from Chelsea side, like you said, Timo getting on the score sheet, Havertz getting on the score sheet. They had monkeys on their back for their lack of production at the beginning of the season. That's out of the door now. So now it's going to allow them to open up production-wise, and that's exactly what you guys bought them for. Hakim Ziyech, you guys have been patiently waiting for him to come on the field. Granted, he didn't make much of a difference, but seeing him on the pitch must have been a great sign for you and the club. So that was great. And Pulisic, obviously, your MVP. He is your most valuable player, and I've said this before, and I've heard people online say this as well. As much as you guys have spent this year or this summer, Pulisic is still the MVP of that squad. The way he brings his attacking threat and speed to the game on opposing defenses, it's unmatched. And in terms of chances created, it's just, he's incredible. Obviously, defensively isn't the same. Kepa with just horrible mistakes. And you know what? It's funny because when I saw him starting, I laughed and I said, damn, here's another start for Kepa. But at the same time, you got to think like this could have been his chance to kind of remake his name a bit.
Mm-hmm.
A new goalie just came in. He wasn't able to play. He could have, pushed him back a little bit with a great performance, and he wasn't able to do so. So
coming back from the international break, something might spark, something might hit, but that wasn't the case.
The same old Kepa. And Tom, let's get your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, man. Just like George said, offensively, you guys have the attacking force. You guys could score the goals without a doubt. You guys have the talent, but like I see George's face right there, like he says, it's defensively. Defensively, if you're not strong at the back, you're not going to win games. And like I always compare Chelsea to Dortmund. They could score 5, but they're going to concede 5 or 6. Something has to change, and it already did change. That's why I'm not bashing Chelsea, because they went out. They got Mendy. They got a goalie who's solid in the back. But like Alex said, sadly he couldn't play. Now, if he played, would there be a difference? I would like to think so. I would like to think Chelsea would have gone away with a win. But it is what it is. It was poor defensively by Chelsea.
And I think it's only right if we follow up Chelsea's game with Tottenham's game, and I see Tommy smiling because I don't know if he's ready for to talk about this, but let's get into it anyways. So Tottenham came flying out the gate, but didn't get the job done. Match ended 3-3 draw versus West Ham, and Gareth Bale made his Premier League debut, or actually he made his debut back from. It's been 7 years now since he's been back in the Prem. So, Tom, my question to you is who is to blame for this draw here?
Okay, so what I'm going to say is, right off the bat, you had Son and Kane, the hottest duo right now in all competitions, coming out, scoring 3 goals within 16 minutes. Their form has not stopped. And a fun fact before I start bashing the team, Harry Kane and Son combined have more goals than 16 out of the 19 other teams in the PL. They have 12 goals just between them two. Now, going down to the bad part. This team, I cannot stress enough how bad we are at defending set pieces. If you go back to all the goals we've conceded this season, it's been free kicks from that same side. 2 against West Ham, 1 against Everton, and it led to the other goal for Newcastle with the handball, all from that left-hand side. Defensively, we were strong the whole game. It took to the 81st minute to start slipping up. I don't know if it was just mentality to okay, we won 6-1 last game. We've been scoring goals left and right. We're on crazy form. It's okay if we let out a bit. And we know a team like West Ham, they're dogs. They'll go to the end, 90th minute. I don't understand what it was defensively. It's just a brain fart. And it goes back to, I'm not saying anything bad because it was his first game for us in a long time. He's been off from Real Madrid, now going back into Tottenham. I find an informed Bale would have scored that top shelf, but I find him missing that, it didn't kill the game. If he scored that, we wouldn't be talking now. I wouldn't be laughing that we tied 3-3 to West Ham. But it is what it is. Defensively, just our mindset, we just let out. I find we just said we're up 3-1, 3-0, 81st minute, we have 9 minutes left. Let's take our foot off the pedal a bit. And like I said, set pieces, I think we're the worst team when it comes to set pieces.
Just to follow up before George gets in on this, the one thing I'll say about Gareth Bale's miss is that I felt it was very unfair for people to kind of put him down for it. I know that in any other day he would have scored it, and that's how people viewed it. But at the same time, it's like there's a lot of pressure. He technically, I don't think he's 100% yet. That's my personal belief. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, why, don't forget, he also subbed on very late into the game as well. And like you said, old Gareth Bale would have hit that easy money. Yeah. So I think it's unfair that the criticism he's getting, it's the defense's fault for letting that game go. The mentality wasn't there. They were feeling too hype, and that's the honest truth.
I said it. Yeah.
They've been off to a flying start with goal scoring. You know, they look at Kane and Son. They're like, these guys are on fire. We can do whatever we want. We can let up if we want. They're going to keep scoring. And I think that's where it bit them in the ass a bit. And George, I want to get your thoughts.
Listen, we've seen it again in the PL. It's a game of two halves. Up 3-0, and then West Ham came out. They were pressuring very, very well. I was even surprised that Gareth Bale even came on. I was messaging my brother back and forth during the game, and I told him, I don't know if he should come on. I don't think it's a good idea because West Ham were just pressing so hard, and they were going for the ball like dogs, you know, and I didn't think it was, like you said, I don't think Gareth Bale is 100% fit, so I wouldn't have not risked it, but that's just me. Just a lack of concentration, and we've seen it time and time again with Tottenham also going up and then slowly slipping.
And just to bounce off what George said about Bale, the reason why he did come onto the game and play the 15 minutes that he did is because we have a Europa League game this Thursday, and Mourinho's looking to start him. So you're not going to put him first game 90 minutes, game one. So he wanted to get a feel of his informed game style to get his legs ready, everything warmed up. That's the reason why we brought him on. But I find we changed that this season with getting a lead and securing it. Like I said, it's just one of these freak games. Everyone has it. All these top teams, you saw it this weekend, has been upside down. And I find this team is going to really bounce back, especially Mourinho. You saw he was not a happy camper at the end of the game. So he probably went back into the locker room and gave them hell. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I could say it won't happen for a very long time again because Mourinho for sure lost his shit in the locker room.
Yeah. And after seeing a lot more of his personality in the documentary that was released for Tottenham, All or Nothing, I was able to see how much he cares about clean sheets. And I'm sure during that halftime talk when they were up 3-0, he was hounding them to get that clean sheet. Yep. And put it in their heads for them to want it as well. And they couldn't hack it. And then that led to the wonder strike of Manuel Lanzini. I don't want to take anything away from that goal. As soccer fans, we live to see those goals. And it was just it was a beautiful sight to see. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So we'll move on. After their win over Leicester, Aston Villa are currently the hottest team in England right now and the only team with a perfect record. So I believe they're 4-0-0. Yeah, yep. They're 4-0-0. Yep. And what I want to say to you guys is just they've made a lot of acquisitions over the summer. But I think the most important thing they did over the summer was keep Jack Grealish. He's their captain. He's their leader. And him staying, I think, kind of rejuvenated a lot of the young guys too. Someone to follow, someone like him, someone that's special in England. And then them going out and getting an established keeper, in my opinion, like Emiliano Martinez, who, when he was able to be on the pitch, was just incredible between the posts. And he's been unstoppable in these first 4 games of the season. And I know some people, when they think about them being up 4-0, they probably first think, oh, well, they probably face some easy teams. But let's go back and see who they actually beat to start the season. So if we're going from the newest to the oldest, they just beat Leicester 1-0. They beat Liverpool, a defending champion, 7-2. They beat Fulham 3-0, and they beat Sheffield 1-0. So that tells me that these guys they came to fight this year. Yeah. And I really think that they're sending shots across the league. And it's something to definitely keep an eye on. And George, I want to get your thoughts on Aston Villa.
Listen, this year the Premier League and the other leagues too, it's been very unpredictable, and we've seen a lot of instabilities in goaltending and defense, and I guess you would say the smaller, and I say that in quotations, the smaller clubs are taking advantage of that. It's crazy and very good to see them do undefeated so far and doing so well compared to almost being relegated last year. So let's just hope that they can keep up the fight. Don't forget they don't have as many games as other teams like Champions League and whatnot.
Europa League and everything.
And so maybe that will play an advantage to them, but we'll see.
Tommy?
Hey, if I was a Villa fan, I'd be really happy with my team. If I was on the squad, I'd be riding this wave till it ends. But I feel going deeper into the season, they're obviously going to fall off. They're not going to go like this the whole season. So if they keep this up at least till December, then that's good on them if they ride this out. But I'm not putting them high above anyone else yet because it is still early. You see teams like City, United, Chelsea, all these guys are not going to be making these mistakes. Tottenham, I'm not going to be making these mistakes. So when the teams that are supposed to be on top are going to start heating up, I want to see how Aston Villa is going to respond to that.
And side note to that game, Soyuncu, who's the center back for Leicester, is out for 3 months. So that's massive. A big shot to Leicester City, who haven't had the most impressive start. They were missing Vardy for this game, who's their goal scorer and their leader up front. So that was definitely missing in that game as well. And I'm sure that would have changed the outcome, if I'm being honest. But hey, they won the game. The win's on them. And let's see what Leicester can come up with. But it doesn't look too good for them right now because don't forget, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they're in Europa as well. So they got a couple of games to look up to right now. So one thing I want to end with this segment specifically is, and something that George kind of hinted to just before, was the fact that the Premier League has kind of laughed at all of our league predictions that we made this year at the beginning of the year. And my question to you guys, and we'll start with Tommy, is where do some of the biggest clubs in England go from here? So you can kind of, to get your mind racing a bit, think of teams like City, think of teams like Liverpool, Tottenham, Man U, Chelsea. Like where do they go after Everton and Aston Villa are kind of leading the table right now?
Well, right now, if I was any of the top teams, like you just mentioned, every single team, you said City, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, they're looking at the table right now and they're not happy. They're saying, listen, we've been slipping up. We can't have, it's not to take a dig at Everton or Aston Villa, but it's like a kind of insulting to them that they're not on top where they're supposed to be. And they see these teams coming out of nowhere, taking their spots, Aston Villa being undefeated. I feel within the next month, this table is going to be the way it's supposed to be. You're going to see teams that are up top are going to start dipping. The top clubs are going to wake up and become forceful like they usually are. Rightful spot on the top of the table.
George?
I just wanted to mention real quick about the Villa and Leicester game. I didn't want to cut you off, but Ross Barkley did score the winner, and it's back-to-back games that he scores, which is fantastic to see because he is a Chelsea player. So I'm very happy to see him proceeding very well with Aston Villa.
Thank you for bringing it up because I did forget to mention that. And Barkley, I do want to shout him out. That's very good that you said that because right now he doesn't have that much pressure on him. He's at a smaller club, and the fact that he scored 2 goals in 2 games, that shows me that he's back to the old Ross Barkley, where we used to see him from a center attacking mid position. He used to tear defenses apart with that wicked shot that he has. So for me, I love seeing that. I think he's making a nice partnership with Jack Grealish there. I'm telling you, we're going to see a lot more of Ross Barkley on the score sheet this year. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, George, I'll let you answer that question then.
What was the question again?
So it was about how you feel top clubs in England should go about seeing teams like Everton or Aston Villa leading the table. Like when they're looking at that, where do they go from here?
So I feel like this year, top six clubs, biggest clubs in England, they're all facing very difficult challenges, but very different challenges all in all. And it's showing in the results and in the display of play and how they play. For example, Chelsea, it's a matter of gluing and defense. Tottenham, it's not about bottling fucking games. United, it's been with the board. So you see there's a lot of different problems, and it's showing on the pitch now. That there's other teams like the smaller clubs, like we say, who have less pressure, who have less pressure to play with, but they seem to be doing a very steady and consistent job, and they're getting the points, they're getting the wins.
Yep. And just to kind of bounce off what you're saying is that the reason I'm happy to see Everton and Aston Villa on top of the table is this is something I've been waiting to see for a while, where it's the smaller teams taking advantage of the top teams kind of struggling to cope with injuries or, like you said, issues with the board, whether it's they don't have enough depth, whether it's teams like Tottenham or Chelsea for that matter, because both of you guys are kind of struggling defensively and not being able to close out games. You guys both have had that this weekend. Chelsea with Southampton, they weren't able to close it. Tottenham with West Ham, they weren't able to close the game. But seeing that is that I've been waiting to see the smaller teams like Everton specifically, who don't have the other competitions to worry about, like kind of take a step forward in the PL and regain a top six form, like we in the past where we have seen them kind of strive to be in. So for me, to answer my own question is kind of say, the top teams need to kind of look at their squads because they're the ones with all the money. They're the ones with all the depth. Mm-hmm. They need to make it work somehow. Mm-hmm. They need to regain their top level class. Like Tommy said, in a couple of months, I'm sure we'll see the table look similar to what we've seen it in the last couple of years. Yeah. I totally agree with that. But in saying that, I still want to see Aston Villa and Everton climb as high as they can this year.
Big time.
I don't know if you guys want to go for it, George.
Yeah, especially for Everton, because this is the first time where they've made summer acquisitions and they're starting to prove and show that they're working under a system under Carlo Ancelotti. Because don't forget, like so many years we've seen Everton just pick up players and we're like, fuck, they actually have a good team on paper, but it just never works out. It never gels. It just doesn't end up happening. Now we're seeing, 5 games in, and the players that they have and the system that they're playing with Carlo Ancelotti, it's working.
Yeah,
everything. Carlo Ancelotti.
Sorry to cut you off. Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say that Carlo Ancelotti, he's a very experienced manager. He has experience in all of Europe, not just in England, but in all of Europe. So it's very good to see. I'm enjoying it.
I think it's crazy that because there's so many new acquisitions to the team, the fact that they're gelling so well and so quickly, I think is what's surprising everyone. Is that it's happening so fast, this change at Everton. Mm-hmm. This new coach who's a very experienced coach, James Rodriguez, who's a talent that we've seen before on the field. He's been around a couple of times, Real Madrid, Bayern, some of the biggest clubs in the world, and now he's at a smaller team with no pressure. And again, what happens when there's no pressure? He feels like he's himself and he can be creative. He can do whatever he wants. And look what's happening when he has control. He changes the game. Tommy, what did you want to say?
I find the one thing that they're missing in all these summer acquisitions that they've done year in, year out was a James Rodriguez type of player. They did it a long time ago with Gylfi. He had some success, but not the same name and impact like James would bring. And I find you take away James Rodriguez, Everton aren't the Everton that they are right now. You put him in, every attacking force that they have always comes off of James Rodriguez. The corners, it's always him. free kicks, him. Moving the ball from midfield up to the attacking box, it's always him.
And it's
He's the
important.
key to Everton.
It's important to follow up with that because teams are starting to realize how important he is to that whole game plan.
Yeah.
And I've seen, because I've been watching every Everton game this season, and I'm starting to see where a lot of defenses are either two things. One, they're double teaming him, or two, they're breaking his legs. And Ancelotti even is starting to realize that. He gets very emotional about it on the field. You can really tell that he sees the defense trying to do that. So I'm really kind of worried for James a bit because people are starting to realize he's the glue to that team and he's the creative mind. But I hope he stays healthy. I pray for him because they're going after him, and we'll see how long they can hold this momentum. Did you guys want to say anything else before we end off the episode?
As long as Allen and Decore are on the field, no one's bullying James. Trust me. You piss them two off, they're going after your star player right away.
George?
Tommy's absolutely right, and I just want to see my team start winning games.
Yeah,
and like comfortably too.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect, guys. So we're gonna end off there. Thank you everybody for listening to the Premier League segment. Don't forget to check us out on other segments as well. And when you have a chance, please subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Insta, and Facebook at 51 Formation. Thank you for listening as always, and have a good one. Ciao, guys.
Peace.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 5-1 Formation podcast. I will be your host for today, Antonio Canales. I'm joined by my boys, George Georgiousis and Tommy Ciebos. Say what's up, boys.
What's Gucci?
Good to be back, gentlemen.
Yes, so in this segment, we're going to be talking about both the Bundesliga and La Liga. So let's take it on to Germany, boys. Let's see what's going on down there. We're going to start off in Dortmund. So Dortmund with another clean sheet victory over Hoffenheim. They won 1-0 with Marco Reus scoring the game winner in the 76th minute. Wasn't a convincing win though, but they did get the job done. So the question I have for you, Tommy, is do you think that Reus should be starting every single game?
Like I've been saying for a long time, if this guy is healthy, no knocks, ready to go, he should be starting every game. You just see what impact he brings to the game when he's 100%. He shouldn't be starting on the bench. I don't understand why Dortmund have been continuously putting him on the bench, not starting him. It's frustrating to me because what he brings to the team, to the country, everything, no, man. I don't agree with him being on the bench. And look, just shows he comes on, scores right away with Haaland.
Yeah, and don't forget, he is the club's captain, right, at the moment. So he does bring that X factor. He does bring the leadership. George, you have anything to add?
I'm thinking it was more of a tactical decision because they do have Champions League coming up and they're playing Lazio. Lazio's not a pushover team, as we all know. So maybe they were saving their top guns for Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a very good point, actually. I mean, listen, we all know he has the quality. He's shown it for a couple of years, but there is that Lemon question. He does get injured quite a lot, so maybe that's the reasoning for the coach being more conservative with Marco. Yeah. But no questions there. Every time he's on, he has an immediate impact. It's insane. So, I mean, Dortmund did struggle to find the back of the net the whole game until Haaland came on and made an immediate impact.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, Tom, are Dortmund too reliant on Haaland?
I find yes, because you saw as soon as he joined the team, hit the ground running, scoring a brace every game, hat-trick here and there, scoring nonstop. So I find they got into a comfort zone with him. Like they said, listen, as long as he's playing, as long as he's starting, he's going to bring us goals. But I don't agree when a team is reliable just on one guy. It's a team sport. It's not just 1v11. It's 11v11. So I don't agree with that. They have a lot of more stars on the team that could step up that aren't stepping up at the right spot. But yeah, I find all the what do you call it? What's what I'm trying to find? All the pressures on Haaland to show up every game to get results. If he's not on, this is what happens.
Yeah, so Favre did start with Julian Brandt up top as their striker, and alongside him was Reina and Jadon Sancho. So, George, do you think maybe that was the reason why they were struggling for the whole time until Haaland came on? Because, I mean, Brandt is out of position in that number 9 position. He's more of a midfield. What do you think?
So I think this goes back to even way before Erling Haaland came to Borussia Dortmund. This is a problem that Borussia Dortmund have been having, is trying to find a solid number 9. They have found one, but if he's not there, then the rest of the team doesn't show up. So if we look back before Erling Haaland came onto the team, they had the likes of a struggling Paco Alcacer and a Mario Götze, who also could play a number 9, but a false 9, but not a true number 9 pure striker that they were looking for. So I think it's a matter of the team, like you said, the other players to show up when he's not there.
Man.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I was surprised. I caught this game while busting out a little home workout with my brand new Bowflex dumbbells. You know what I'm saying? finally got a bit of time to watch some foosball, and I was just astonished. I mean, yes, Hoffenheim isn't a pushover team either, but I mean, Dortmund just couldn't get to the net. They had 15 shots total, but only 5 on target. They were really struggling, man.
Yeah.
So I personally do think that they are a bit too reliant on Haaland, but you know, maybe they should get a secondary striker in the window in the January transfer window.
Agreed.
So maybe it's something they should look forward to in the future and look and ponder upon for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else before we move on from this game, boys?
No, you nailed it on the head, buddy.
Just Dortmund was a bit unlucky. They did have a couple of chances. They hit the bar, they hit the post here and there. But like we said, it took them Haaland and Royce to kind of kill the game, and they got the 3 points, which at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Perfect. So let's move on to Bayern Munich against Arminia Bielefeld. I'm sorry, man, if I butchered that name. It's a complicated one for me. But little Armenia, yeah, that's who Bayern Munich played this weekend. And they absolutely squashed them 4-1. Both Lewandowski and Muller with 2 goals each. And if I'm not mistaken, an assist each.
Yep.
Or at least minimum 1 assist each. And man, just destroying this small team out of Germany. Muller with a great game as well. I mean, Tommy, do you think he could keep it up, Muller? Do you think he could match or even surpass the numbers that he got last season?
Yo, all I'm saying is this guy, the past couple of seasons, he's shown us he can't be stopped. As long as him and Lewandowski are on the pitch, fully fit, I find with adding on Sané to the team and everything, and bringing back Douglas Costa with more options to make passes to, I find he's going to have a better season than he did last season. That's me.
But these two, when they play together, they just seem like the dream duo. George, what do you have to say, buddy? Are they the one of the top duos in Europe, bro? Tell me. What do you think about that?
I could agree with that statement, considering that they did just come off of a treble season, and they haven't seemed to miss a step, even though those 2 players in particular are a bit older than the rest of the squad. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, if you play with a player for so many years together, eventually you're just going to get better. It doesn't make any sense that they would decline.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the numbers, but I feel like they've been playing together at least 7 years since from 2014, right?
Yep. Yep.
What
They've been
when
on the
did
same team
2013,
together.
2014.
when did Lewandowski come to?
After they lost in the Champions League.
So
When he was in
2013?
Dortmund and they faced Bayern Munich, he was in Dortmund. As soon as they lost, he
So
jumped ship.
he came for the 2013-2014 season. That means Lewandowski,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, minimum 7 years, 6.5 years they've been together. You know, so you're definitely going to create some chemistry.
Yeah.
Muller isn't the most athletic guy, as we know, but his football IQ is
Yeah.
definitely up there and amongst one of the greatest for sure,
Yeah.
especially in today's game. I
Mhm.
mean, this guy, the way he positions himself, the way he creates space for others such as Lewandowski, and his vision to get the balls out to the wingers and the striker himself are just insane. I truly believe that he could definitely match his numbers from last year,
Yeah.
and I'll even say it. He'll get more than 30 points total for sure.
Yeah. I see it happening.
All right, so let's move on. We're gonna go to Leipzig. Just quickly over here, Leipzig, man, they're really impressing without Timo Werner. We all thought, and we've said it multiple times, like, can they do it without Timo? And they're
Yeah.
proving that it was more than just Timo. It's a
Yeah.
whole team thing.
Yeah.
There's no I in team, boys. Not in this team, anyways.
Yeah.
So they stay undefeated. They get a 2-0 victory over Augsburg and continue to stay on top of the table with 10 points while Bayern and Dortmund trail with 9.
Yeah.
So measly 1 point ahead of them, but they are ahead.
Yeah.
They
Now-
are putting a stomp on Bundesliga.
Now I have
Tommy,
a
tell me
question
what's
for you
up.
guys. Last season, RB Leipzig started off super strong the first half of the season. Then around midway, a bit after midway, they just start to sink. Now, do you think they've corrected their mistakes from last season? Are they going to keep the progression up here, or are they going to do this again, waves, and go down towards the end? What do you guys think?
Go for it, George.
I mean, it's tough to say considering that the season just started. Champions League again is around the corner, so squad depth is going to have to come into play. Injuries, all of this stuff that teams get challenged with season through season. So it is tough to say. I'm gonna say that maybe the same thing might happen to them just because they are still a young squad. They do have a very young manager too, compared to a team like let's just say Bayern Munich. They have the experience, they have the coaching, they have everything going good for them. And in a competition aspect of it, I really hope that they do keep it up because they could really challenge for the title against Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, Tom, I think they did correct what they had to correct compared to last season, and they won't fall off, or they won't do it as quick, anyways, because they got depth. They got guys. Don't forget, like Justin Kluivert, very talented young prospect. He came off the bench this weekend, and he played pretty well, man. Honestly.
Yeah.
They started the game with Emil Forsberg as the number 9, and then brought in Yusuf Poulsen in the second half. So
What a goal! What a goal he
yeah,
scored!
yeah.
Oh my God!
If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. What was it? Volley, right, Tom?
Left foot volley
Yeah.
right outside, right inside the box. Boom!
Yeah.
Top shelf.
So yeah, I think with the depth, the added depth this season, they could definitely compete and contend for the title for sure.
Yeah. A nice little impressive stat for Angelino, back-to-back goals. Scored last game and the game that just happened this weekend. If he keeps it up,
I really don't understand till this day why City let him go. Yeah, I mean, he was impressing, and Leipzig took advantage. They said, "Oh, you don't want him? We'll gladly take him. Give him to me."
I'm almost like, I could be wrong, but I think he's on loan.
no.
They bought him?
Beginning of the season, they made it official. He's with the team. No more Man City.
Oh, good for him.
They finalized it. Yep.
All right. So any other comments before we leave Bundesliga, boys?
No, table's looking nice and close, as it was last season. It's an exciting league to watch. Keep it up, Bundes.
I just want to say, for my sake only, I got Muller in fantasy, and I really hope he does surpass last season's performance. It's so fun to have him on there, honestly. All right, so we're going to move into La Liga.
Yep.
And I know usually I'm more of the analyst in this type of situation, but since I'm the host today, I just want you guys to follow my lead.
Okay.
And yeah, let's get straight into it. So we had a strange weekend this weekend, boys. Sevilla, Real Madrid, and Barcelona, the ones that are favorites for the title this year, all lost.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with Real Madrid. They lost 1-0 to Cadiz. And honestly, I'm not surprised with the lineup. I'm not surprised because of the lineup that Zinedine Zidane came out with. So just hear me out. He came out with all his veterans. I'm talking from Lucas Vazquez to Cruz, Modric in the midfield. He brought out Isco starting. Isco, who's one hamburger away from being fat. Marcelo hasn't been getting a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
Mendy is usually the one favorite over him. And Nacho center back playing right back. Nacho. Fuck, do I hate this guy. I don't even understand what he's doing with a Real Madrid jersey. So for me, the first half was all Cadiz. They totally dominated. And I think the lineup was the reason for this. So what I want to ask you guys is, should Real Madrid start weeding out the old players and veterans and maybe start focusing from game to game on the new generation of talent? George, I'm going to start off with you.
I like a little bit of diversity. So having young blood and having experienced players both in a team, I find is very important, because you have the experience of the veterans and you have the hunger and the flair of the young studs that want to prove themselves on the pitch and get a starting spot. Now, I think at this point in time, Real Madrid are kind of struggling, and Zidane is struggling trying to get a starting 11 that works well at the moment. Because last game too, they struggled. This game also, they struggled. There was a couple of, from highlights that I saw, there was a couple of times where Ramos had to make like goal line clearances. So I don't know, man. It's very interesting what's happening in Real Madrid.
Tommy, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Zidane figured out what you figured out, Antonio, because at halftime he brought off all those old geezers and brought in the young blood. So I think he saw that he came out with a wrong formation. He realized it was too late to change it. So halftime he's like, listen, boys, let's change it up. Let's bring on the youth. And yeah, I think he should start moving away from using his veterans a lot more often. Bring in the young blood, show them what they got. You know they're all hungry. Any young player playing for a big team, you know they're hungry to prove themselves. So I find Zidane's going to learn from this mistake, because he's not a dumb manager, very successful. So I find next game you're going to see a different Real Madrid starting 11.
And listen, what I want to add is that you can't blame Zidane for coming out with this type of lineup. These are guys that he won with a lot of titles, Champions League titles, guys that he trusts to get the job done, you know? So you can't put the blame on him totally. I think it was more the players that didn't come out to play, honestly. Yeah. Like, Zidane really depended on these guys. He said, okay, let me give my young boys my usual starting 11 a break. I mean, besides Varane and Ramos and Courtois and all those. Yeah. Because we got Champions League, like George touched upon before in the episode. They have Champions League this week. So I really do believe that the players let him down. And like you said, you saw how many changes he did at halftime. He realized, like, fuck. I put out the wrong lineup today.
Yeah.
And once again, you can't blame him, bro. Like, Cadiz, tell me if you know geographically on the map of Spain where they are. You know what I'm saying?
No, I
They're a
can't.
second division team that came up. So I think he felt really disappointed about his boys this weekend, man. And you can't blame him for it.
No.
Anything else to add for the Real Madrid game, boys?
Just disappointing. That's all I have to say. Not a result that Real Madrid are used to against lowercase teams, but disappointing for me. If I was a Real Madrid fan.
Yeah, and like we touched upon last or a couple of segments ago when we last spoke about La Liga, I said that they were struggling to put it in back of the net, and today proves it. So if they continue like this in Champions League, which hopefully they don't, man, they're gonna find it a tough 6 games in the group stages. They need to figure out their shit quick, real fucking quick.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, so let's move on to Barcelona. They lost 1-0 as well to Getafe. I mean, Getafe showed last year that they weren't a pushover team. They were teasing a top 4 contention last season.
Yeah.
And, well, for the last couple of seasons, they've been a pretty big pain in the ass for the likes of Sevilla, Real Madrid, and Barcelona to play against. They definitely don't make it easy for these top teams in La Liga. And they showed that they could get the job done again this weekend, winning 1-0 against Barcelona. So I'm going to give Getafe all the credit that they deserve. They played amazing. Like I said, they were pains in the asses against Barcelona, and they played great defensively. Now, what I noticed before I asked the question I want to ask you guys, what I noticed in the game is that Barcelona came out and played with no fucking heart. And I'll give you 2 examples of this. The first one is, I don't know, man. I just realized Griezmann, when our midfield had the ball, when they had possession, Griezmann was going to do a forward run. And the defender I just saw kept on pushing him, just kept on aggravating him. So what did Griezmann do? Instead of being like the old school Suarez and giving him an extra knock, saying, get the fuck off me, I'm going to score right now type of thing. Instead of retaliating in a good way, he drops back to the midfield because he acted like a pussy and got scared.
Yeah.
How does that show heart to you?
No.
George, you could attest to this, bro. When we were both playing in Villarreal, we had some pain in the asses as forwards. And honestly, every time a defender would go to, I don't know, intimidate them or something, they would always retaliate back. And that's why we had a winning mentality. Am I right or am I wrong, George?
No, you're absolutely right. And I think specifically for Griezmann's case, it's listen, I don't watch a lot of Barcelona like you do, but maybe you can agree with what I'm about to say. I feel like he's not the same player as he is as when he plays for France, because he doesn't seem to be very comfortable in that Barcelona environment. Because I'm sure if that same incident happened internationally, I think he would retaliate, like you say, because he's proud to play for the French national team. He does very well with them. They won a World Cup 2 years ago. But because now he has been struggling with Barcelona, it's just he doesn't seem to not look at the opportunity to like keep fighting, but more to like regress. If you catch what I'm saying.
Yeah, I actually totally understand that, and that's a great point. So in France, he has his boys there. Every time I see videos of him on Instagram when he's with the French national team, bro, he's having so much fun. And I don't get the same vibe day in and day out when he's in the Barcelona squad. So I definitely do think that you're right on this one, and confidence is an issue. And maybe him not gluing, him having no chemistry in the locker room or with others in the locker room, I should say, is playing a big factor when he's on the pitch. Tommy,
Like,
what do you have to say?
Yeah, well, going back to him dropping back and being a pussy on the field, I think he should go and watch highlights of the Swedish Lion Zlatan, because every time a defender pushes him, makes fun of him, is aggressive with him, what does Zlatan do? Shuts his mouth, scores a goal, and then just stares at him and gets him back. That's how you're supposed to play. They push you, they bother you, score. That's the best way to get someone back. Don't get a card, don't get a bad foul, don't pussy out. Get a 1 on the score sheet. Get a 2. Get a 3. That's how you get them back. I don't understand how players will shy away from a battle and just stop and just be okay. I'm not going there. Screw it. I'll just stick back where I'm comfortable. I make a pass. No one's touching me, and that's it. I just don't feel he has that hunger and that drive with Barcelona as he does with France. Because even when he was with Atletico Madrid, the stats don't match when he plays with France. This guy scores every game when he puts on the France badge. He's on the score sheet all the time. You see him running everywhere like a chicken without a head. I just don't guess why when he's playing for a club, he just stops. Like, he just shuts off. I don't know if it's like Antonio said, he's comfortable with his boys, with France. He's proud to wear it. Then when he goes to Atletico, when he was there, now with Barcelona, I don't feel he has that same, let's go, boys. He's in the locker room. We're winning this. Let's go. I find in the locker room, he goes, takes off his cleats, sits back, drinks water, and says, okay, let's wait for second half.
well,
I don't get it.
Have to say.
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because I feel like as of recent, the locker room in Barcelona has been a problem. There hasn't been much leadership in any of the veteran players, and there's nobody really like grabbing the team and saying, "Let's go. We're Barcelona. We're ready to play. We're the best team in Europe." Some may argue. There's none of that fighting force. You know what I mean? And it's becoming an issue with Barcelona. Now, is it up to the player? Is it up to the manager? Because if you look at a team like, I'm just gonna give an example, like Tottenham, they don't have that one person, but they have Jose Mourinho to round up the boys and say, "This is us. This is how we play. We are Tottenham. We're gonna do this." You know. And obviously, Jose gives the armband to Harry Kane, the best player, and he takes on the leadership role perfectly, you know. But I feel like Barcelona are missing that factor in their team spirit, let's just say.
I find Barcelona,
No, go for it, Tom. Go for it.
Speaking about that, I just find ever since the likes of Puyol, Iniesta, Xavi, and a younger Piqué, ever since like Puyol, Iniesta, Xavi, like I said, left the team, I don't feel like they have those players that go into the locker room, smack a player over there and be like, listen, wake up. Let's get this result. Right now, I find your biggest leader is Messi, and you just saw what happened in the offseason, how him wanting to leave and not really want to be there. So I find he doesn't give that 100% in the locker room, guys, wake up. What the hell is going on? We're down 1-0. I find it's lacking right now.
All right, so this is segueing perfectly into the next topic I wanted to bring up, which is another little scenario, but that could create big results. And I have a feeling this is one of the contributions to Getafe's win against Barcelona. So get this. Ansu Fati came on in the second half. He started playing, started dribbling the ball, he gets in the box, and Niom sticks the number 12 for Getafe, Niom, sticks a foot out, and Ansu clearly dove. So he's on the floor, he's complaining to the ref, and at the same time, Niom is standing over Ansu Fati, yelling at him, telling him shit like, "You're 18 years old, and you're diving like that. Who the fuck do you think you are?" Bro, he's literally the Getafe defender, or midfielder, I should say, is on top of him for a solid 10 to 15 seconds yelling at him. And throughout him standing on top of him, throughout that whole time, not one fucking Barcelona player comes and defends their young prospect. How the fuck do you want to get a win? Where the fuck is the team spirit, bro?
Yeah.
If it like when I was playing, George, you could attest to this. I was more of the, the intimidator, and we had a couple of younger players playing for us in our squad. So when we were U14, we would have a couple of 12-year-olds playing. And I remember this little dude, Shems Medine, bro. Insane. This kid was like Lionel Messi on the ball, fucking 4'8" at the time, deking through defenders and getting these goals like you wouldn't imagine. And there were a couple of games where he would get attacked by defenders. But as soon as I saw that, I would run to the defender and say, "Get the fuck off the kid." And then I would tell this little youngster, like, "Don't worry about it. I got you. Do your thing and score the goals." There was fucking none of that for Barcelona this weekend. None of that. And for me, seeing that was really disappointing because, like both of you touched upon before, I think if we had guys like Puyol, like Mascherano, like Xavi, they would have went up to this fucking bastard Neom. They would have pushed him out of the way, or at least defended their boy. There was none of that this weekend. None of that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you guys a question now. I'm gonna segment into a question and say, should Barcelona start looking for a player with a high leadership asset in the winter transfer window? Tommy, go for it.
Yes. Because like you just said, this can't be going on. Like you can't have two guys like Piqué and Busquets on the field looking at their young prospect just get yelled at and bullied and not do anything. Like you have two big guys, Piqué and Busquets. Why are they just being okay? Well, they're the biggest guys in Barcelona. Go there, push him out of the way, yell at him. So I'm gonna agree with that question. I'm gonna say yes, they should. January, go after someone with a leadership role that's gonna go and face off with someone who's gonna attack one of their players. Speak up. You guys are a team. You guys are a family. If someone goes after one of you guys, trust me, I'm gonna be the first one there pushing them off. I don't get it.
I'm not only talking about on-field situations. I'm talking about also in the locker room.
Yeah,
George was saying
100%.
before.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just shows a player on the field is going to do the same thing off the field. He's not going to be a mouse on the field and then on the locker room just go and start yelling. You have to have both. That's why getting a leadership that could do it on and off in the locker room, smarten people up, get people rallying. I find you guys are missing that, like you said. So in January, I would. If I was Koeman, start looking for players like that. 100%.
George, what do you think?
I couldn't agree more. And a perfect example of this were to be, if I can make a comparison, it would be Manchester United. Manchester United obviously have been struggling, but their main guy as of recent, since last January, has been Bruno Fernandes, or Bruno Fernandes, as they say.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm bringing him up is because, one, he's been their best player. Two, there's been incidents where you see he's taking on a leadership role on and off the pitch. And there's been instances where, like, when they got bashed by Tottenham, he came into the locker room and apparently there was a huge bust up because he was saying, "You guys are playing like dog ass and you guys don't know what it means to play for United." And with all these actions that he's been doing, he's been given captaincy for the PSG game coming up for Champions League.
Yeah.
And that was announced, I think, today in a post-conference meeting with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Bruno Fernandes and some other players. But this is the type of player and attitude that Barcelona need, because let's be honest, Messi is not a true captain. He's a very quiet person. He's a fantastic footballer, one of the greatest, but he is not the type of player to carry a team spirit, morale on and off the pitch. Piqué was that guy, but ever since Barcelona have been on a downfall, it hasn't been the same anymore. So I do think they should look for somebody, but it's going to take time to integrate.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I have a pretty controversial question for you guys. Obviously, a lot of people are going to fucking rip me on this, but I feel it's a necessary question because it's something that you just touched upon, George, where Bruno Fernandes in a very important game is getting the captain's armband instead of Harry Maguire. I don't know if Harry's going to be playing, but...
No, he's sorry to cut you off. He's not playing.
Okay.
Maguire is not playing, but the second in line would be Paul Pogba. And let's just admit, Paul Pogba hasn't been showing up, man.
No.
All right. So the question I have for I'm going to start off with George is that should Coleman look at a different leader, not necessarily give the armband to somebody else, but maybe tell Messi, listen, keep the armband on for publicity's sake, but in the locker room, you're not the real leader. We're going to go with someone else.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Or should they even go as far as removing the armband from Messi's arm, which is never going to happen, and give it to someone else?
See, this is the problem now. Because Messi is who he is, as soon as something happens to him, there's either going to be a good or bad, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reaction,
or we'll call it a reaction, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, yes, Messi should keep the armband just for publicity's sake, but they should have a guy in the background leading and guiding the team. And I don't know, it should be PK, should it be Ter Stegen? I don't know.
I honestly think, go for it, Tommy, man. Go for it.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I wouldn't put PK because, like Antonio knows, he's at the end of the road. He doesn't have a lot more game in him. I find the next leader should be Ter Stegen. He signed a new big contract with the club. I find he should be the one to wear the armband when Messi leaves. He should be the leader. He's going to be there long term. He's used to the club. He's a winning goalkeeper. He should be the next one in line. Because I see no one on the squad. Busquets too, end of the line. We know Ter Stegen's there for the long run. I find he should be the leader of the squad.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's actually what I was going to say. Even if it's just for now with Messi's, the armband on Messi's shoulder, I really do believe that they should look for a leader in the locker room, a real leader. And I think that solution is Ter Stegen because he has a voice. He displayed that in the game against PSG where they came back to win 6-1, where PSG scored against them. He was yelling at his players saying, we're going to win this fucking game. Don't give up, boys. He was saying encouraging words like that. So just that little moment over there, that game, showed me how much leadership he has. And his football IQ is through the roof as well. So I think he's the person that's going to motivate this squad the most out of all the options we have right now.
Big time. Big time.
So basically, we're going to end this podcast by saying that the top dogs in La Liga were suffering. Sevilla lost 1-0 to, I forget who. I have it right here. Granada. Fuck, imagine that. And there was a couple of other big games that happened this weekend. So we had Villarreal who won 2-1 against Valencia. We all know that Valencia have been dropping off. They gave up Coquelin and Dani Parejo to Villarreal. And surprisingly enough, and coincidentally enough, Dani Parejo got the winning goal against Valencia to make it 2-1. He obviously didn't celebrate, but, it's just ironic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Would you guys have celebrated or keep it humble?
Keep it humble.
I don't know. Some players do, some players don't. But in my the way I am, I would keep it humble just a little.
Well, yeah.
The hands up.
Or
yeah.
to the.
Atletico Madrid won 2-0 against Celta Vigo. Pretty decent performance. They got a couple of goals finally. Luis Suarez on the score sheet in the 6th minute, and their second goal came very last minute in the 95th minute by Yannick Carrasco. Him too, finally getting on the score sheet. Know what I'm saying? So, Celta Vigo, they're okay this year. They don't have, I think they lost a bit of quality compared to last year. So, it's definitely a necessary win for Atletico Madrid. And we're going to end this segment off by saying that there was a pretty big game this weekend, Real Sociedad versus Real Betis. I honestly had my bet on Real Betis, but they didn't even get a goal. They lost 3-0 in this one, man.
Yeah.
Very surprised about that. Tommy, you're shaking your head. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I've been on a high horse with Real Betis just because your boy Sergio Canales. I love this player. I have him in my fantasy pool. I've been following the team, and from how they've been playing recently, I know they have 3 wins and 3 losses, but I would have thought they would at least scored a goal. Like, come on, you get shut out 3-0, but Real Sociedad, top of the league. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Let's see how long they keep it up for, but. No, it's definitely if it continues along these lines, man, we're not gonna know what the hell's gonna happen to the top 4 in La Liga.
No.
Anything else to add, boys, before we leave the segment?
We nailed it, boys.
Just a little fun fact. Both Real Madrid and Barcelona wore their pink jerseys, and they both lost. So if you're wearing a pink jersey, expect a big L.
Well, they were wearing it for a good cause. It was women's breast cancer weekend or something in Spain. So actually, I don't even know if it was around the world or in Spain, but regardless, they wore it for a good cause. But yeah, obviously not the best of luck, I guess, this weekend, huh? So we're gonna end this segment off, Bundesliga, La Liga segment, by saying thank you guys so much for sticking around for the whole thing. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We do our best to keep on posting day in and day out to keep on updating you guys with the most latest content. So once again, thank you so much for sticking around. Follow us at 51 Formation on every social media aspect. Thank you guys. We love you.
Ciao.
Peace.
What is going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the 51 Information podcast. You're listening to the Serie A segment. My name is Alex Karabatsos, and I'll be your host for today. I'm joined by Anthony. Say what's up.
What's happening? What's happening, bro?
So a couple of things over the weekend for Serie A. We're going to get right into it. Anthony, I'll let you start us off. Go for it.
Yeah, so we'll start off with Juve against FC Crotone, or like the guys like to call them FC Croutons, like a bunch of peasants. Basically, it was a pretty disastrous result for Juve. What more can you say other than that? We should be able to beat Crotone without even breaking a sweat, without having to rely on Dybala or Ronaldo to get the job done for us. There's enough talent on the field in order to get the job done. I understand there was really terrible refereeing during that game, but still no excuse. There was a goal that was called offside on Morata, where similar to Sadio Mane, which is going to be discussed in that EPL segment, where his hairline was basically offside, where it was like millimeters where that he could have been onside, right? So that could have gave us the dubs, but still not an excuse. We should have been able to smash them by multiple goals, by a multiple goal margin. So I was really disappointed to see that. But at the same time, we have to be patient, right? Because it's a new system, a lot of new faces, a little chemistry between each other, a little time to adapt to the new system. Plus, Juve had barely any preseason as well, along with other teams, and played only one friendly. So it's still a work in progress. Pirlo is learning as he's going, with the help of more of his veteran players on the team, like Chiellini, Buffon, to help him out, management to help him out as well whenever he needs some insight or some opinions about something. But the project is going to slowly come to fruition eventually. But now there's going to be a lot of growing pains. Summary from the game: I love the energy from Chiesa, despite the red card he got. I mean, his studs were up, but I mean, it's a bit harsh in my opinion. It could be me being biased. I don't know if you saw the replay, Alex, about the red card.
No, I haven't gotten a chance to see it. I just heard about it though.
It's all good, but I love his work ethic. I don't believe he's going to be a Bernardeschi 2.0. He got an assist on Morata's goal, so that was really cool to see. Pirlo in his press conference, I believe it was today, addressed the Dybala issue, where a lot of reports were saying that Dybala was upset. And apparently he even went to the sporting director, Paratici, for being upset for not coming on at all during that game. So Pirlo addressed it. in quote, he was upset because he didn't come on Saturday, but he is coming back from 3 months of inactivity and 3 days in a room in Argentina being treated for an intestinal virus. So he had stomach virus during the international break. He could have played in Crotone, but we were reduced to 10 men because of Chiasa's red card, and it was not possible to let him in. He's not playing because he's never been well and hasn't been constantly training. So I was going to ask you, Alex, what do you think of Pirlo's decision to keep Dybala on the bench during that game?
So my thoughts right away when I saw that was that he believed that the players that he had, or at least the attacking players that he had at his arsenal, were going to get the job done against FC Crotone. Crotone is a newly promoted team, correct?
Yeah, they were. I believe they were there last year as well, but yeah.
Right, but at the same time, they're still kind of growing in the league, right? And they still have a lot to learn. So when it's a team like when they're going against a team like that, and they're Juventus, don't forget, they're a 9-time winning, or 9 times in a row winning Scudetto champion. So for them, they should have easily won this game, in my opinion. Regardless if Dybala wasn't playing, regardless if Ronaldo wasn't playing. I'm looking at the list now, or the squad now, and I see Morata, Kulusevski. And for me, I think he felt like those two guys were able to kind of win him this game, and I think they let him down a bit.
I think so too. It was honestly like there's only so much our coach can do at the end of the day, because even when I was watching the game, still there was no heart, there was no determination to get the dubs. Crotone were really pressing them hard, Juve on the back end, because Pirlo wants to play from the back and hold that possession. So they gave him little room to make a play to get the ball up, which caused Bonucci to actually make a bad tackle and cause a pen, which has been the case, has been a pattern now recently where he's been doing very mistimed tackles and has been causing a lot of penalties recently too. So I don't know what's up with him, and he's not really the same as we once knew him, but it's really concerning to see. But at the end of the day, I completely agree with you. They should have still gotten the dubs with the players they had on the field. And Dybala, I'm sure they had a conversation between each other, like, listen, this is a situation. We were down to 10 men. I'm not going to put you on, especially because we have Champions League that we're playing against Dynamo Kiev. So it is what it is, man. You got to be mature, you got to be professional. You have to understand the coach's decision sometimes, which makes complete sense. I agree with Pirlo. So you just got to scratch this game off and move on. Prepare for Champions. That's all it is, man. A little delayed updates. He's getting closer. Yep. He participated part-time during the training recently, and he is expected to he's expected to return in early November. So fucking please, because that back end is an honorable mention for Demiral. He's finally got a start for Juve, and he looked fantastic. He's an absolute animal as well. Before we get into the more big headlines between the Milan derby and Napoli-Atalanta, I'm going to just go briefly over Sampdoria and Lazio, what happened there. Sampdoria completely demolished Lazio 3-0, keeping the clean sheet as well. No Immobile, no party. Immobile was suspended and unfortunately had to miss that game. But it also shows that Lazio's lack of depth is still a real issue. Immobile was out for suspension. They are suffering injuries from Manuel Azzari, Senad Lulic, Luis Felipe, Bastos, Andreas Pereira, who they got from United, Escalante, and Stefan Radu, who's an important defender for Lazio as well. So it goes to show that Lazio, again, they weren't really too active. They got a few pieces, but there are honestly, like, at this moment, it's pretty unlucky for them to have this many injuries all at once. But at the same time, I think Inzaghi also said in the presser that we can lose games, but not like this against weaker teams like Sampdoria. So I don't blame him for being upset. But them too, they have to get it together because they're playing Dortmund tomorrow, and they're not going to hold back. Let me tell you. So hopefully they have their head on straight because Dortmund's going to come in flying, man. And
I think especially Lazio, they've had such a rough start to the season that match against Dortmund is going to be a response game, in my opinion. Because Immobile's back, they need to show something to save the season, in my opinion. Because if they continue on this route, if they lose to Dortmund tomorrow or whenever it is, Wednesday, for me, it it's going to be too much of a loss at the beginning to be able to pick up the pieces after, in my opinion. I know it's a long season. I just feel that they need something to kind of wake them up a bit. You know what I mean? So Immobile's return for this Champions League game is going to be big. And I'm a big Dortmund fan, so I want Dortmund to win. But seeing Lazio win would kind of show me that they still have it and they still have it to compete.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, like, believe it or not, Immobile really is like that, like, leading figure, that nucleus of the team. I mean, Luis Alberto is a fantastic player. Lazzari is a fantastic player. But at the end of the day, Immobile, without them, they just collapse. I don't know what it is. Like, he just leads by example, and he provides confidence to the rest of the team. So without him there, I mean, I guess the rest of the team, they had no heart, like Inzaghi said in his presser too.
I mean, let's be honest. He did score like 37 goals last season, so all the goals come from him, right? So if he's not there, like you said, they're very concerning. Absolutely.
But they purchased that player from Fenerbahce. I completely forgot his name. Can't even pronounce it.
But they bought him. They bought him as a backup to Immobile, but maybe they just couldn't hack it. That's the issue here.
Exactly. At the end of the day, yeah. But moving on, I mean, hopefully Lazio bounce back and make the game against Dortmund tomorrow very interesting, which I'm sure it will be. They both attack very well and defend quite poorly, but that's a different topic. So moving on to two completely wild games. We'll start off with Napoli against Atalanta. What an insane game this was, and I called it from the beginning. I spoke to you specifically, and the rest of the guys as well, that this game is going to be a fucking wild one. More so because these two, we know who they are. Atalanta, probably one of the most informed teams of 2020. Napoli are completely at a rejuvenated side, especially offensively, with Gattuso leading the way and their new signing with Osimhen. So it was going to be an amazing matchup from the get-go. Napoli were fired up and pissed off of what happened against Juve, where the game was forfeited because they didn't show up to the game. And not only that, they got a point deducted as well, which I can only imagine how much they're fucking fuming in that locker room and in the management as well. So my prediction was correct. Napoli came off flying, full of energy, fast ball movement, just completely attacking on all cylinders. And they absolutely humiliated Atalanta, which hasn't been a sentence that we've been saying often in the last year. So it was 4-0 in the first half. It was a completely terrible display of defending by Atalanta. There was like so much open space for that Napoli attack, that 4-2-3-1 formation that Gattuso was using to overpower and like swarm the Atalanta defense in their backside. They were completely all over the place defensively. Atalanta, they were not structured at all. And it goes to show that, like, yes, you may be a force up front, but if you don't have a solid backside to fall back on, you could definitely struggle against the big teams, you know. And it showed that perfectly because once the first half ended, Gasperini adjusted his tactics for Atalanta, and the second half was a lot more balanced. I mean, granted, Napoli also weren't pressing as hard as they were in the first half, but still, there was a lot of defensive errors that were made, especially in that Osimhen goal, where for one, it was his first Napoli goal, which was super happy for him. It was a goal kick from Ospina, who just launched it down the field. And Romero, he's 22 years old. He's alone from Juve. He mistimed the header, and Osimhen was through, and he smashed it in from like 20 yards outside the box. So little errors like that make a difference. I know Gasperini wanted to give Hadobor a bit of time off from international break. He left him on the bench, just fine, because considering they're playing. Are they playing Liverpool the first game in the Champions League, or are they?
This is who?
Atalanta.
Atalanta are playing. Hold on. I have the sheet right in front of me. They're playing Midtjylland the first game.
Midtjylland. Okay, fair enough. By the way, we have Atalanta coming up this week, so I don't blame him for giving him the rest because he's a key piece there. But basically, yeah. I mean, honestly, it was a real eye opener because, like I mentioned, they're so powerful attackingly, but like offensively, they've always been like there's always been a question mark there because they were always able to overpower teams offensively. That they would discourage them from even having a response against Atalanta. And now that they got that right back to them, it was a huge eye opener because I believe they were playing a 3-4-2-1, and because I think that four midfield was way too high up, that there was a huge gap between them and the three at the back for Atalanta. So those four attacking options for Napoli were just able to just fucking swarm them all, man. It was incredible to watch.
Yeah.
A+, honestly.
So the what I want to talk about specifically for this match, because I watched it also, and one of the things that the commentators were saying at the beginning was the fact that Ilicic was very disconnected from the group. Tactically, the way he felt on the pitch, it wasn't the same. Let's not forget he's been away from the game for a long time. And the fact that he started this match, obviously, as a soccer fan, when we saw that, we were like, "Holy shit! It's Ilicic. He's gonna, he's just gonna create this energy for the game." But that wasn't the reality because I think he was like I said, he was very disconnected. The commentators realized that in the first 20, 25 minutes of the game. And I think, I'm not saying that was the issue, but that could have been an issue maybe in terms of how they were attacking or connecting up front.
I agree. He hasn't played since July 11th. We don't know if this is the issue or not, but he apparently was depressed because he lost his friends. They died. They passed away. I'm not too sure what the reason was, but he was down in the dumps because of that, which I don't blame him at all. So I agree. I mean, I think it would have been a better tactical decision for Gasperini to maybe have him come off the bench in a huge game like that against Napoli, who was a pissed off group. They were going to come out flying, and because even Sam Lammers, the new forward that they got from PSV, he came on and he scored his first goal as an Atalanta player. So he probably would have been a better option. I mean, but we can sit here and say, what if he did this or that?
Yeah.
But I agree though. I mean, I agree. He wasn't. When I watched him, because it was tough to follow the game because we also had the Liverpool game on at the same time.
Yeah.
Then after the Chelsea game came on at the same time as well at 10 o'clock. So it was a fun-filled Saturday for soccer. Let me tell you, bro. But from what I was seeing from Joseph Ilicic is that he didn't get the ball much. He didn't look confident like he used to be. He was slow. He wasn't very lackluster. So. But hopefully for him, I mean, I'm happy to see him back. Hopefully he gets his form back, and to what he was last year, scoring I think it was 18 goals. So I hope he turns that around. But Sam Lammers looked great coming off the bench. He provided that energy from up front, giving Atalanta some positivity to end off that game. That their new B team and scored. So. Super cool to see that.
This is what I'll say for Atalanta specifically, because I think they started the season very strong. Like it was some high scoring games back to back on top of it too.
Yeah.
And I think they needed a wake up call a bit, maybe a kick in the ass just to say don't feel yourselves a little too much. And I think this was good for them early in the season so that they know that they're not the only ones that can challenge for this title. And Napoli last year, they showed glimpses of this. They just added Osimhen to their ranks, and he's been a standout player for them already. We're talking 4 games into the season, he's been a standout player for them. So Napoli wanted that win. They got it, and I'm really excited to see what they can do with this group.
Yeah, I agree, man. He's linking up very well with those other 3 attacking options, and there's also an Insigne update as well where he's back in full training. So they should have him for Europa League this week as well. They look super dangerous, man. And another title, another contender for the title this year as well with Napoli. Between them, Atalanta, Inter, and Juve, it's going to be honestly super interesting to watch Serie A this year, man. And I agree. It was a huge kick in the ass for them because don't get too overly confident with your game. You have been scoring in abundance. You have been performing exceptionally well the last year, but at the same time, just giving a kick in the ass to look back at this, okay, we're good offensively, but let's figure out how to not let this happen again defensively, because that was a huge meltdown, because I don't know what that was.
it's also worth noting that they're playing with their backup keeper. Don't forget, right?
Fair enough. I mean, he is the backup, but Sportiello is pretty recognizable. He is pretty solid either way. But yeah, Pierluigi Golini is also a key factor for that team too. I don't know what his update is, but hopefully he's back soon for Atalanta.
I just thought it was worth mentioning in a sense where, because their starting keeper is kind of is injured for the foreseeable future, I wanted to bring it up to see what that would do to their season in terms of their season progress, or for them in Champions League. Like, I feel like that does affect it in some way. It's not just maybe their defense; it could be that as well.
Absolutely, but no, but like I agree. I mean, obviously, he's their starting goalkeeper for a reason.
Yep.
Sportiello isn't. There's a reason he's a starter. He's the better goalie, and he was tremendous during the 2019-2020 season. And but that's why, like, with that system of three at the back, you need to like make sure that your four mids gotta be a bit balanced there. You can't be always pressing high, because you're gonna leave a lot of gap between the four mids and the three at the back, and they're gonna be left alone, and they're gonna get fucking fucked. Nice sentence there. So hopefully Gasperini addresses that with his assistant coaches and the rest of the squad, to see how they can avoid that in the future. Which I'm not worried. They're a very solid group with a lot of head on their shoulders, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. But speaking of defense as well, we'll move on to the Milan derby, the Derby della Madonnina. That was a wild one as well. Zlatan returning, recovers from COVID-19, scoring a brace, and leads Milan to victory, and continues Milan's perfect record to start the 2020-21 Serie A season. Another bright point for Milan too. Alessio Romagnoli came back from injury, and he started for Milan as well in the derby, which was he's a huge backbone for that team. He's super underrated defender, a center back, 25 years old. Hopefully he stays healthy, because he has suffered from injuries quite a bit in the last few years. So if he stays healthy, you're going to see his name a lot, and between commentators like praising him and whatnot. Milan basically took advantage of Inter's list of absentees that game. That's basically what it was. Bastoni, Skriniar, Gagliardini, Ashley Young, Nainggolan, and Jonat Radu were out due to the coronavirus. Stefano Sensi, a huge key in the mid, was suspended. Alexis Sanchez, he still came on, but he was not fully fit. And Vecino was injured. So that's quite a bit of players to be out all at once. So that's definitely was a key factor for Milan taking advantage from the get-go. But more so, what I think the real issue was Inter Milan's defense and their Conte's options of what he chose for that starting 11 for the center backs, because we all know Antonio Conte, right? He's a very hard-headed person, and it's very rarely that he adapts, and it's very rarely that he'll make changes to his lineups or his formations or his tactics. So knowing that you have Bastoni and Skriniar, this guy still refused to change that option of three at the back and put two full backs there instead. He had De Vrij, who came back from suspension, I believe, and basically had D'Ambrosio and Kolarov as the other two center backs, which proved to be the liability, because Kolarov drew a penalty against Zlatan, which evidently led to the goal, which brought Milan to 2-0, I think, at that point, or 1-0, sorry.
It was 1-0, yeah.
It was 1-0, so it goes to show. I mean, he was so keen on buying players throughout the offseason. I don't get why he didn't bolster his center back depth. You know what I mean? He was so focused on getting midfielders all the time, always mids.
Yep.
But zero depth on the center back option. You know, so honestly, I don't know what your thoughts on that are, because basically it makes zero sense to me.
I think he overestimated their defensive capabilities. So we're talking about the fullbacks here. I'm talking about Kolarov, like playing him as a center back. I don't know, man. I really think that he overestimated his ability to defend the ball. Like he's fantastic at crossing. He's fantastic on the upper attacking side. But on the back side, to play as a center back with that much responsibility in the back, I don't see it. And I think we saw that. We saw his weaknesses in the back as a center back this game specifically.
Absolutely. I agree, man. And at the same time as well, we have to take into account too where Ivan Perisic is playing as a wing back. And and we addressed this in previous episodes as well, where he offers a lot of qualities defensively.
Yes.
But defensively, once again, he's a liability.
Yep.
So once again, why are you forcing someone to play out of position, or he's not going to excel? He's not going to succeed either. And that's Conte's our head in this. It doesn't make sense.
And now I'm sure people know this, but the real reason he left Inter the first time when he went to Bayern was because Antonio Conte he wanted to play him as a left wing back, and Perisic didn't want to do it. And what happened was they gave him they loaned him out to Bayern, right? At Bayern he played as a left wing because those were his only responsibilities, and he flourished there. He had to come back to Inter because Bayern they tried to purchase him. Inter didn't want to accept what they were offering, so he was forced to stay. But I think what's happening here is that he's forcing him to play there because this is what he was trying to do the first time, and the other time he was able to leave and go to Bayern and flourish win cups and whatnot. But now he's stuck there, and I feel like Antonio Conte is forcing him to play as a left wing back, and he's not. He can't play there. You can't play him there.
Can't, man. That's why Conte's stubbornness is an issue, man.
Yeah.
He refuses to adapt. He refuses to make adjustments. It doesn't make sense. Like I can't comprehend that. You as a manager, if you want to succeed, you need to constantly be evaluating your system, your own system, or your own players that you have as options. Like, okay, where can I get the best out of my players I have on my team right now? What's wrong with playing a four at the back that game?
Yep.
Are you gonna die? Are you gonna have a stroke if you play a four at the back? You moron. You know what I mean? Like I don't. It's honestly like. Even that, despite him, I'm in love with Antonio Conte, the way he plays, and he plays his squads and his passion for the game. But at the same time, there's moments like that where he's a liability, and that's probably the main reason as to why Inter didn't get the Scudetto last year.
I'm just very confused because for me, when I see him normally in his squad, especially when you have Perisic there, he should play a 3-4-3, where you can play Perisic as a left wing, and you still have a different left wing back that can play that role instead of him. Because then you'll see the real production from Perisic as a left wing. He's gonna destroy whoever he's playing on that side, and we've seen him do this.
Yeah, but I think the point is that he wants to continue the Lukaku and Martinez duel up front.
Agreed.
So by all costs, they have to be there. So it's either midway through the game, you take off one of them, and then switch to a 3 up front. But I don't know, because it's honestly not going to work, man. You cannot force a player.
Yep, exactly.
To play a certain way. Like, granted, I'm a huge figure of like, let's say a forward, let's say a left winger is going to play right wing that one game. You're still playing a forward position. You still should do decently well. But now you're asking a forward, to start playing, start being responsible defensively as well, and like heavily responsible, not like casually or just watch your back end. You know, like you're a full back in a sense. You know what I mean? Like,
and let's remind the listeners as well that on that left side, if you get past Perisic, which you will, because like we said before, countless times, he doesn't have that many defensive capabilities. When you get past him, the left center back is Kolarov, who's normally a fullback. So that left side is completely weak. And I think that's what really hurt them this game specifically.
I agree, man. I mean, listen. I mean, it's a long season. At the end of the day, I mean, hopefully, once they have everyone back from and recovered from the illness, like Ashley Young is a perfect fit for that left wing back position. Because as much as he is in our head, he does get the job done in most cases, at least defensively. So once they have everyone back, Inter is definitely going to be up there to contend. They're still up there now, so definitely not a worry in the world for the net ad Zuri there.
I just want to say that because I know that we're talking a lot about Inter's defenses and what they're lacking defensively and whatnot, but I don't want to take this win away from AC Milan. They're a very exciting and young group led by an animal in Zlatan, who's been there, who's done that, who knows the game well, who can lead them to countless amount of trophies. And one guy I want to shout out, and I want to give you props specifically because you've told me, even from last year, you had mentioned how Rafael Leao is a guy to watch. He's a young kid with a lot of talent, and that cross was something that I've seen from like some of the best forwards in Europe. And for him to see at such a young age do something that special, I know to some people they're going to say, "Oh, it's just a regular cross," but like just for me, because he's so young and to have that much pressure to be able to deliver that to Zlatan's foot, to be able to just get it across, for me, I saw that right away. I messaged you and I said, "This kid's special. He has it. You can tell he has that game in him."
Absolutely, he's definitely a young Brazilian talent. Another one. He's 21 years old. Sky's the limit for him as well. I think he's going to be a tremendous player as the years go by. It was a great cross to Zlatan's foot. And you have to keep in mind D'Ambrosio's there, De Vrij there, Handanovic is there. They're always in position. So especially Handanovic too. So it was a superb cross to give him to make the game. At that point, it was 2-0. He's honestly a one to watch, let me tell you, man.
No, he's fantastic. I'm very excited to keep watching him play, and especially if with Rebic out at the moment, if he can continue to start making those starts for them, it's gonna be fantastic. That team is really exciting this year.
Really exciting, man. And Calhanoglu looks also rejuvenated, even though he's been in Milan for quite a few years now. But in the previous seasons, he wasn't there. He hasn't been performing. But now he looks remotivated, rejuvenated with Zlatan there. It's a Zlatan effect. You know, everyone's in it to win it. They're all hungry. You know, so that rubs off on another player, right? Because if you're down in the dumps, if you see your teammates super hungry to get the win every day and every game and get a result, you know, it's super exhilarating to see for a player. I mean, I know I would be. I mean, if I was demotivated on a team or at work, you have other people supporting you and boosting your confidence, it's going to show in your results and your performances at the end of the day. So they're looking fantastic. They're a perfect record right now, and I'm very excited to see how they do against the other big name teams.
Yep, absolutely.
Also, a positive note for Inter Milan as well. Inter Milan fans, Bastoni will be eligible against Mönchengladbach, against champions in the Champions League this week, as he's recovered from COVID. You just need to provide like a proof to whoever you have to provide proof to that he's showing negative results. So yeah, that's a huge bolster in the back for them. So because Mönchengladbach with Turan and Alassane Plea there too, so they're going to be dangerous up front, and they're going to need all the help they can get defensively against them.
But I still feel Inter can beat them. Like I know both teams well enough to know that I really believe that Inter can take that game.
Absolutely, bro. And don't get me wrong. During that Milan derby, despite all those people that are injured, Inter had a shitload of chances to put the ball in the net, but they just weren't clinical.
Right.
Exactly. It was also one of those games for them where like it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Donnarumma was on point as usual, and shots were going inches wide. Hakimi had an incredible chance that he fucked up, and it was just inches away from the net, and they weren't clinical enough to get the job done. So it happens. We move on from it, and it's a long season, so you'll get them back next game.
Absolutely.
Did you want to add anything for Serie A? Did you want to bring up or?
No. I think we covered everything. Shout out to Roberto Soriano, who's having a fantastic season. I want to bring him up because I have him in our little fantasy pool. I thought it'd be worth noting he's having a nice start to the season production wise. And Roma with a big win. I know it's Benevento Calcio, but seeing them, especially considering how there was a couple rumors that they were going to lose Dzeko in the summer, the fact that he's back, and I believe he captained that game as well. To see him back in the lineup and scoring again, it's nice to see for the team.
Absolutely. It was still a positive result, regardless if it's Benevento Calcio or not. I don't give a fuck who they're playing.
Yep.
You still have to. You can never underestimate your opponent ever.
Yep.
Ever. Your attitude always has to be there. Your focus always has to be there. I wish Juve can say the same.
Hey man, Juve had a really young lineup, so I don't know. I want to see what they're gonna do, especially in Champions League, where it's a lot more serious competition in terms of just what you need to bring to the table. So I'm really curious to see how Pirlo is gonna attack or set that lineup, because versus Crotone, I wasn't too surprised with the lineup he chose. But when it comes to the Champions League, I really want to see who he's gonna bring and what he's gonna attack with in that game for sure.
I agree, but it's definitely going to be the veteran players that are going to be starting for sure, even if against the Dynamo. But I guess Pirlo, he wanted to try something. He wanted to give the Portanova a chance to start. I know Ramsey's out, but I think he's going to be available for that Champions League game as well. So I'm not worried about that. I'm sure we'll get dubs during that game. It'll be a nice kick. That Crotone result was definitely going to be a kick in the ass against them, because it's super important to start off Champions League strong and ready to go. And also, to add on to your point that you mentioned before against Roma, before we end off, Dzeko looks like he hasn't missed a beat. He's still there. Him and Mkhitaryan are going to be a nice duel. He's going to provide all the assists to him, no problem. Very nice to see Pedro. Get a goal for Roma. That was really cool too. And Carlos Perez as well. They're going to be a fun team to watch because they have a lot of depth too. So it's Roma fans should be excited as well. They can also be a dark horse this season. But that's all, man. That's all I have for Serie A. I think we're good for that, bro.
Perfect. So we'll end off like that. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Serie A segment. Don't forget to check out our other segments as well. And when you have a chance, please subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Insta, and Facebook at 51Formation. Thank you for listening, as always, and have a good one.
Ciao, guys.